Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Actions have consequences and we adults know that by experiencing life and being hit by the laws of nature. Some of us learn it just by being taught by the parents, by schools and so on, but this is the process. Unfortunately, when we were kids, we didn't know really that's the reality, and we did not accept it for some time until we realized, well, that's how the world goes. Children or let's say adults who are still in a prolonged adolescence, they don't understand that actions have consequences. In this case, I'm going to talk about Germany and the German nation. And because of some actions taken by some German leaders, the consequences are seen by the German population that is told not to worry and be okay even though they will have food shortages. So yes, Germany will have food shortages. I know Romania had food shortages. I know some countries that have food shortages, but Germany, well, since a certain kind of cataclysmic events, they didn't have that. So let's see what's going on here. So this article comes from Sputnik, which is a Russian, obviously, news outlet. So you cut things that are, too skewed in one direction. This is the title. So this is from yesterday, the 23rd of September 2022. Germans urged to prepare for empty fridges as energy crunch takes bite out of food security. You say, well, this is just Russian propaganda. Okay, let's see. The traditional Central European industrial powerhouse has been hit hard by the largely self-inflicted energy crisis stemming from Brussels' decision to phase out Russian oil and gas to quote-unquote punish Moscow for its military operation in Ukraine. True. So that's the actions some people, which is the leaders, elected officials of Germany, decisions they made according based on the information and their desire to punish a country. They shot themselves in the foot, and now the German population will have to support the consequences. So President Putin has warned that Europe is in no position to dictate its will to Russia on energy matters. Well, that's politics. Germany's fresh and frozen food sectors are in the middle of their quote-unquote worst crisis since the end of the Second World War and could face a wave of bankruptcies and production restrictions, leading to gaps on store shelves. Manufacturers' associations have warned in an open letter to the German government. Did you hear that? Shortages, production restrictions, leading to gaps in store shelves. So this all, we'll find out. So this is a letter, or part of it. There is a significant risk of gaps in the daily food supplies for people in Germany. Not German people, people in Germany. Weasels too. The situation is more than serious, the letter addressed to Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Economy Minister Robert Habeck and Federal Minister for Food and Agriculture, Cem Özdemir, and published by Welt warned. So, what's that going to be? It's going to be it said, act now, otherwise the refrigerators of Germans will soon be empty, the appeal warned, the same letter. Act now, otherwise the refrigerators of Germany will soon be empty. Energy prices shock have hit Germany's frozen foods and fresh produce sectors especially hard, with producers complaining that they have received no financial support from the government amid the crisis. You know what that support would be, the financial support? Government, companies, people, right? So government, companies, people. So people, let's say here, government make a decision that affects the companies and the people at the same time, but in this case, companies and the companies affect people. Now these guys, these guys in the middle say, we know what, companies, we need financial support. They ask the government who made the decision to shoot themselves in the foot. They say, we need financial support. They don't have money. There's not enough money, let's put it this way. There's not enough money, so they have to borrow. Where do they go? They go to the Rothschild, and they go to the Morgan, and they go to these guys and say, hey, can you give us some money? Sure, of course, thank you very much. Here is with interest, of course, and you have to pay it in this many years, okay? Yes, thank you. So the government borrows from these weasels, okay, because they're incapable of having a sustainable society, an economic society, an economic production and all that. So they're not capable. That's a failure. So they need to go and borrow based on their decisions. All this is the consequences of these people's decisions that they decide to place sanctions on Russian energy. So they created it, not Russia. What happens over there in the other house, that's their problem. Now, if I get involved, and then I got involved, I was not dragged in, I knocked at their door and said, you know what, I'm going to come in now. So here is this leadership is going to borrow from these weasels and going to give the companies money, or they will say, okay, you're going to pay this amount, and the rest, the real price, is going to be paid from the loans we took, the government, in the name of the people. So the people are going to be, actually, right? They are the ones. They took in the name of the people and the country, the loans to help with something that is the result of their decision, the consequence of their decision. Are they affected? No. The only people that are affected are the energy companies. Some of them are going to go bankrupt because some of them will not. Refrigerator and so on, refrigerants and all those companies that have frozen food. Some of them will get bankrupt because they will not qualify for the perks, money from the banks. So it's going to be this, we're going to give this, that part, and the citizen will get probably the frozen food, they and other products that these guys have, right? The companies. And then they will have to pay the loan to those weasels because of the decision of the government. So who fucked up everything? You say the Russians? If the Germans these guys, the German government, would not have acted towards that, that would have been energy around anything okay here on this issue of energy. But it's not, because these guys knocked at that door and say, we're going to get involved, we're going to play sanctions, we're going to do this, we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot. And the population and their children and their grandchildren will pay the interest and the loan for the decisions these guys made, not these guys. So whose actions affect whom? And who's laughing? The banks and the leaders. Why? Because the leaders are still standing in power with their own bad decisions, still in power. And how do they solve the problem? Getting you in more trouble, long-term trouble. So Germans, make sure you don't have anything. Minister Ozdemir apparently accept that companies will go bankrupt. There you have. Well, it's good. So no interest, no loan. You're gonna go bankrupt. Yeah. He says that Eichner complained, saying that the need for support is great, but nobody listens to us. Yeah, Eichner. Eichner is the managing director of the German Frozen Food Institute, Sabine Eichner. It's not another Eichner that I know. This guy said, no, you're gonna go bankrupt, and that's fine. He said Germany food industry accounts for 186 billion euros in annual revenues, 6,200 separate companies, and 638,000 employees, more than half a million, and has sought both extensive targeted financial for individual firms and expanded access to energy at subsidized flat rates. So they are subsidized flat rates. Who pays the difference? Because they have to buy the energy from somewhere, and that energy comes with a fucking price right here and goes here, and they subsidize this, and the rest is the company. This is subsidized. That means they have to pay that guy who provided the energy with the loans from international bankers. So, and who's gonna pay? You and I together. Yeah, there it is. And then you have energy price and inflation. That's twin blow. Yeah, tell me about it. And then you got here another article that I'm going to make another video on it. Worst of energy crisis still to come. German gas giant Uniper warns. Uniper is already nationalized by the German government, which means welcome to communism. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.